Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to solve LeetCode 24 swap nodes in pairs problem. So the problem statement is that we are given a linked list. We need to swap every two adjacent nodes and return its head. So another requirement is that we must solve the problem without modifying the values in the list's nodes. So for example, only nodes themselves may be changed. So what's that mean? That we cannot, for example, in this case, right? We cannot just change the values. We need to change the pointers in our linked list. So we are given this problem, for example, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are swapping nodes in pairs. So 2 goes here, 1 goes here, and the same way that the 3 goes here and the 4 goes here. But again, we should not change the values. We need to change the pointers here and return the head. So that's it. That's the problem statement. Let's see how we are going to solve this problem. Let's take actually the example that we have seen earlier. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and let's work on that. So first things first, let's introduce the helper node, right? That will point to our head in order not to lose the head. So how we can solve this problem? The way we are going to solve this problem, we need to play with the pointers because we cannot change the values by requirement. So first thing that we need, we are going to create one reference node. Let's call it, let's say that the new node, right? New node that is pointing here. So then we are gonna define the first, which is which is equals to new node next, right? So which will be here, and then we are gonna define the second node, which is this one. So the second node is equals to new node next to next, right? Next to next. So next and next. All right. So we define this first and second. So what we need to do here? So first thing that our helper node should point to. So this node will go to the. We are swapping these two nodes. So this node, helper node, will point to the second, okay? Then how about the first node? First node, in our case, should point to whatever comes after the second, right? So the first should point to 3 in this case, here, okay? Then how about the second? Second will point to the first node, okay? And that's it. So if we are pointing this way, so then what we got here? We got, let's say that after the first iteration, we have a helper node. Let me put in another color. We have helper node. We have we have second, right? Because we swapped already. We have first, and we have third here, and we have fourth. So we have this, but we need to also swap this. The way we are going to do that, so in the first iteration, our new node was pointing to our head. Now it's going to point to our first. So basically, it's not going to point to our this new node, not going to point to our helper node. It's going to point to our first node. So then it becomes here. So the new node, it points here. So instead of pointing here, it points here, new node, right? New node. So again, then we are going the same iteration. So new node, so the first equals to new node next. So then the first goes here. Okay, let me put in another color. First goes here, and the second goes here. So what's going to happen? Again, the first new node is pointing to the our second node, right here, and new node is pointing to our second node. Our first node pointing to wherever is the second next is pointing. Second next is pointing to null, so it means that it's gonna point here. So let's say that we have null here, right? And how about 4? 4 is second. Second is gonna point, as it's here. 4 is gonna point to the previous one, so which means that it's gonna point here to 3. So at the end we have after the second iteration, it was the first iteration, right? And this is the second iteration. So we have the first, which points to 2, and which points to 1. This one we have after first iteration. And after second iteration, 4 moved to here, to the, so we just basically swapped 4. So it points to 4, and then 4 points to 3, and the 3 is pointing to null, to the next element. So so that's how we get this result. Okay, that's it. Let's put this explanation to code. Is we initialize, we create a helper node. Let's initialize it, list node. Let's set the value to 0. And so the helper points to our head. So that will, at the end, we are going to use in order to return the head. So then we are, as we have seen in our explanation part, right? We are creating one more node. Let's call it new node, which points to our helper. So that's it. So now let's go over our list, right? And let's make sure that the new node next not equals to null, and also because we need to swap in pairs, we need to make sure that the next to next also is not equal to null. A new node next and next is not equal to null. So until this condition is true, what we do is first we are taking our first. So first list node, let's call it first. It points to the new node next, right? Another one is that the list node second, it points the new node next and next, right? So now we have our first, now we have our second. Now let's go and change the pointers. So for the new node next, where it's gonna point? It's gonna point to the second. How about first? First is first next. We are gonna point that to the second next, right? Second next, yes. Okay, how about the second next? Second next is pointing to first. And also we are changing our new node. So we are moving that to the first. So new node is equals to first. And let me see. And that is it. At the end, we are just returning our helper. So we need to return head. We are returning helper next, which is our head. Let me see. Yeah, that should be it. Okay, great. It works as expected. So as we have seen in our explanation part, first thing that we do, we create a helper node, which points to our head. Then we are creating a new node, which points to our helper. We make sure that our new node has next and the next two next elements because we need to swap them in pairs. Then we take the first, which is next. Then we take second, which is next to next. Then we point our new node to second. Then we point our first next to second next, and our second next we are pointing to our first. And then we are just moving our new node to first, which means that the two positions left, 2 positions right, and at the end we are returning the head. Okay, that's it for today. Hope you like my content. If you like it, please hit the like button and subscribe my channel. See you next time. Bye.